Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. See the video on your screen. I've already refuted Chris Schwartz before. This idiot from Black Hawk County, Iowa, who said we're not safe anywhere. He was projecting the hood rat culture of Waterloo, Iowa, and Black Hawk County, Iowa's high homicide rate, high murder rate on the rest of Iowa. And he wants to facilitate this hysteria that it's not safe anywhere, so he can justify trying, and when I say trying, I put that in bold, trying to take away guns from law-abiding, mostly white, rural residents in Iowa. I will also mention my website's going away, not because of anything I did, but because the domain holder sold it to someone else many years ago, Vista Print or something, and they're discontinuing it now. And but everything on there is archived. I may get a new one at some point. I think I probably will, as I have a lot of information. But if you see any of my links anywhere, don't worry. It's all at the Internet Archive Wayback Machine or archive.is. You know, I've been planning for this day. You never know when it's going to happen. But I've been with webs for about almost 18 years. So now I'm not going to read off all this information. I went on a quest. Like I said, I've already debunked Chris Schwartz many times. This guy has no clue what he's talking about. He is not very bright. But I decided, well, let's look at all the counties in as many states as I can. And I'm going to be scrolling here, so bear with me. The states I covered, if I can find it here, because I've got so much information. It's absolutely phenomenal. I am absolutely phenomenal. I looked at... if I can find it here. Here are the states. Nebraska, Texas, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. Now, you can't accuse me of cherry picking because if they didn't have the report out, I couldn't cover it. I was going to do as many as possible. Democrats couldn't do this because this would require thinking. The states I covered were Nebraska, Texas, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Wyoming, California, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Utah, Idaho, Ohio, Illinois, and Iowa. And I went and found all the states, and this entire transcript will be posted at Rumble. It's massive. It won't be past their limit. That's part of the reason I like Rumble. You can have a massive video description. So I'll post the entire transcript with the sources at Rumble, and that will be archived as well. So those states combined have 50.42% of the U.S. population. So I said, let's find all the counties with no homicides and one homicide. Because if you're going to figure out where the problems are in the U.S., and John Lott, as I elucidate in there, has done a lot of yeoman's work in this area. When they say, oh, we're not safe anywhere, I'm retarded, they're using that as an excuse to try to take away everybody's firearms from mostly white, law-abiding rural residents. And it's stupid. It's not true at all. So what I did, the states I examined have 1,409 counties. And again, I'm not going to cover all this because I'd be here for hours. But I do it for you so you don't have to. The states I examined have 1,409 counties, and 970 of them, 68.84%, had less than 2 murders. Does not sound like we are not safe anywhere is true, unless you are a functionally retarded mouth breather. Extrapolating that out, of the 3,142 counties in the U.S., 2,163 of them would have less than 2 murders a year. So over 2/3 of U.S. counties have less than 2 murders. They're not the problem. The states that had 1,409 counties, and of that, 747 of them had 0 murders. So that's 53.01%. Extrapolating that out, of the 3,142 counties in the U.S., 1,666 of them have no murders. So over half the counties had no murders, and over 2/3, 68.84%, had less than 2 murders. So now you've got roughly 21 for you Democrats. 31%. For you Democrats listening, we got less than 1/3 of the U.S. counties left, because there's a lot of counties. If you tally all the one homicide counties, their homicide rate is low overall. But you will find the occasional one where the population is so small that in a 10-year period they can have 4 murders. So 4 of those 10 years, their homicide rate would be stratospheric, and other years it had 0. So you got a massive standard deviation there. You've got your homicide rate goes from like 20 or 25 per 100,000 to 0. So just keep that in mind. I should also mention, okay, just this will be good, some good information for you, because you're going to want to know what's the population of the states listed above. 20 over 26 million. Those are the states I listed at the start of this. Over a little over 26 million of their 168 million, over 168 million people live in counties with less than 2 murders. That means of the entire U.S. population, extrapolating that out, over 51.6 million people live in counties with less than 2 murders. And the states listed had a collective population of over 168 million, and the collective population of their counties with 0 murders was almost 14.7 million. That means 8.73% of the entire U.S. population lives in counties with 0 murders. That's that's a little over 29.1 million. So for these morons who say, "Oh, we're not safe anywhere," I'm an idiot. Yeah, you're an idiot. So over 51.6 million people in the U.S. live in counties with less than 2 murders. That doesn't sound like we're not safe anywhere. And I've got some quotes from John Lott you'll want to read, where he had some data from 1977 to 2000. On average, 73% of counties in any given year had 0 murders. So that's squeezed down a little bit. That's not as high as it used to be, and it's probably, he hypothesizes, it's possibly because of all these drug addicts. And of course, the border's open, so they're getting more fentanyl in here. So the Democrats have the open border so more people can get killed, because I think they get off on that. I'll read this off too. And then we'll wrap this up, because there's tons of data. This guy, you might say, why are you doing this? Well, that's like dropping an A-bomb on something and then dropping a hydrogen bomb on it, kicking someone while they're down. Just further debunking the idiocy that comes, and he's just copying from other people too. They all say, "Oh, we're not safe anywhere because I watch the news and I think what's on the idiot box is going on everywhere." Yeah, well, you're stupid. For example, Iowa, in any typical year, I've done this a few times, but of the other times I did this, Iowa, 2/3 to 3/4 of Iowa's 99 counties in any given year have no homicides. So. And then they'll say, "Oh, nobody lives there." And I'll say, "Well, what percentage of the population is?" And they don't know. They're like, "Oh, yeah, if you're going to take me on this, you better bring your A game or you're going to get your ass kicked." It's that simple. So in 2022, 79 of Iowa's 99 counties, for you idiot Democrats out there, that's 79.79% of Iowa's counties, 79 of the 99 had no murders. We're not safe anywhere. That is over 1.2 million people, and it was almost 38% of Iowa. 38% of Iowa's population lives in counties with no murders. Now, there's a lot of states that are like this, and they tend to be, what do they tend to be? Mostly Republican and mostly white. Texas is an exception. There were several counties there that were Hispanic, plurality or majority, that were not violent. 90 of Iowa's 99 counties in 2022 had less than 2 murders. So 58.07% of Iowa lives in counties with less than 2 murders. So if anyone says we're not safe anywhere, that is utter horse crap. So I'll let you read the rest of that yourself. I'm even adding to this again before they close the website, so I can, and I've saved all this too, so I'll upload it somewhere at some point. But I'm adding to this, and I'm going over some of the most violent counties in these states that I covered, and they tend to be diverse. You'll also notice, and I'm I'm wrapping this up now, I swear. You will also notice, and I was putting in the demographics, but I realized that's going to take so long because Texas has a boatload of counties. Like, I'm going to be here for hours. I quit doing that after a while. I've got it all archived, though, so you can go look up the demographics of those counties in batches of 6 from 2022. But one theme, and there are a few exceptions, but not often, one theme you will see in these counties with no homicides and 1 homicide. You will see that one thing, they are most of the time overwhelmingly Republican, very, very Republican, and uber white. And I wonder why that is. I guess white supremacy forgot to do something to those counties. But when I add to this, I'll get that up too. And you'll see that the most violent counties in America, and we'll start chiseling away, that's less than 1/3 of all counties. And it basically, it's going to boil down to the top 10% of counties. Most of the violence in the U.S. is in 10% of the U.S.'s counties. Maybe 200, 300. It's not everywhere. Okay? So don't let people fool you with that BS. So, yeah. And you can call me racist, but you can't call me wrong. Have a nice day, and don't thank me now for the information.